Psychology Today has described President Donald J. Trump as upending traditional ideas about leadership and politics, and in so doing, he sparked tremendous psychological interest, from the traits of his character to the emotions that he elicits from the public. And that's what we're going to talk about. Traits of his character and emotions that he elicits from the public. Now, Donald Trump. This is not just a matter of me indulging in Trump derangement syndrome. These are not just personality traits. They're serious character flaws and defects that have implications and consequences to America and, for that matter, to the world. So here's my list of 12 things that concern me and disturb me about Trump. Now, there's nothing all that new here. We're going to go over the items one at a time. But anybody who's seen Trump and followed his situation for a few years is well familiar with his personality and his characteristics and his flaws. But I think it's important once in a while to remind yourself you're not crazy for not liking this man and not trusting him. There are reasons for it. And frankly, if you're on the other side, maybe you should stop and think maybe you are a little crazy for ignoring these things. Let's start from the bottom up with number 12. Never admits mistakes or apologizes for anything.
Have you ever apologized? Ever? In your lifetime? Think back, close your eyes, think back to baby Donald, when you were little Donnie Trump. Did you ever apologize?
This was not supposed to be one of the questions. This one came out of the
None
book.
of this.
No, actually none of this was we had a very nice little sequence of questions.
Yeah, no, I don't
So far, I think you said, throw them.
Yeah, I don't care about this. I want to talk to you. I'm like you now. I don't use teleprompters. I'm like you.
Much better.
It's like in the mirror.
I fully think apologizing is a great thing, but you have to be wrong if you're not wrong. Like, for instance, they wanted me... But I will absolutely apologize sometime in the hopefully distant future if I'm ever wrong.
And there you have it. Trump has always operated on the principle that any apology or any admission that you made a mistake is a sign of weakness. Well, I'm sorry, and I disagree, but I don't think admitting you made a mistake is a sign of weakness. I think it's a sign of strength. So let's go to the next item on my list. Betrays confidants and disloyal to former allies. Well, that's something we've seen plenty of. Trump seems to have an awful lot of enemies and opponents. It amazes me how many of those enemies were at one time his strongest supporters and trusted advisors. But Trump has a way of disposing people. Throughout his career, we've seen him turn on those who are once his closest allies, ranging from Michael Cohen to Jeff Sessions to dozens of others. Trump is really quick to turn on people and disregard them once they've outlived their usefulness or if they ever, heaven forbid, disagree with him on anything. This kind of betrayal shows a deep disregard for trust and loyalty, qualities that are really essential in leadership. It also sends a clear message. If you're not useful to Trump, you're expendable. Another thing that Trump has become famous for makes number 10 on our list. Deflects responsibility through vague attributions. Donald Trump refuses to accept responsibility for the things that he says and does. It's very, very common in social media for him to make outlandish accusations and then to defend it by saying, it wasn't my post, I just reposted someone else's. He's been known many times to make statements like, well, people are saying. I don't know, but I've heard. He just refuses to accept responsibility. He wants to make cheap shots at people. And then when it comes to being confronted by it, he runs away like a little kid. Don't know what to say. Mind you, it plays right in with number 9, Craves constant praise and compliments. Now, that's Donald Trump. If you ever took the time to look up the definition of bootlicking, ass-kissing, sycophant, yes men, you may well find mention of Donald Trump's cabinet meeting of June 12, 2017. It was the most incredible thing you've ever seen. It would have done Caligula, who thought he was a god, proud. Trump held his first ever cabinet meeting, marched in all of his appointees, had them sitting around a boardroom table, brought the media in, complete media, which he avoided until then, and basically one at a time, they went around the table, and these people praised Donald Trump for being the all-knowing, all-seeing, all-great president of the United States. Truly, it was sickening if it wasn't so funny.
So I think what we'll do, most of you know most of the people around the room, but I'm going to start with our Vice President. Where is our Vice President? Our Vice President. There he is. And I'll maybe start with Mike, and we'll just go around and just, you name your position, and then we'll ask these folks to go back and have a good day, and we're going to discuss our various reports. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. President, and just the greatest privilege of my life is to serve as Vice President to a President who's keeping his word to the American people and assembling a team that's bringing real change, real prosperity, and real strength back to our nation.
Thank you, Mike.
Mr. President, it's a privilege to serve the students of this country, and to work to ensure that every child has an equal opportunity to get a great education and therefore a great future.
Thank you, Mike.
President, what an incredible honor it is to lead the Department of Health and Human Services at this pivotal time under your leadership. I can't thank you enough for the privilege that you've given me and the leadership that you've shown.
Mr. President, as your seal on your staff,
That's true.
and it's an honor to be your steward of our public lands and the generator of energy dominance. I am deeply honored, and I am committed and optimistic that we can be both great stewards and be the world's largest producer of energy.
Good. And you can do both. Thank you very much. Thanks. Rex?
Mr. President, thank you for the honor to serve the country. It's a great privilege you've given me. Clearly, we are engaged with our allies to ensure that they know where our common interests lie, what our expectations are, that America will continue to be a leader, but they must do more.
On behalf of the entire senior staff around you, Mr. President, we thank you for the opportunity and the blessing that you've given us to serve your agenda and the American people, and we're continuing to work very hard every day to accomplish those goals.
By the way, that's not how cabinet meetings are supposed to go. It's interesting to note how many of the people around that table have publicly declared that they will not be voting for Donald Trump in the 2024 election or in any election ever again. They are that disenchanted and that adamant to stop him from being in power again. The people who sat with him around that table and praised him up and down the you-know-what. Okay, so let's move on then to our next item on our list. We've got here, he believes that compromise always means his way. Trump always talks about the need for compromise, so long as everybody does things exactly what he wants, how he wants. That's his definition of the word. Trump talks about being a great negotiator, but in practice, his version of compromise is very one-sided. He always expects others to bend to his will, rather than finding any middle ground. This is evident in all his dealings with Congress and with other international leaders. His idea of negotiation is my way or the highway, which has always led to deadlock and missed opportunities. Compromise is about finding solutions that work for everybody, not just Donald Trump. So now we come to number 7 on my list, and one of my favorites. Speaks authoritatively when he doesn't understand. You know, Donald Trump presents himself as the all-knowing, perfect, I know everything person. And he just isn't. Truth be known, he's quite a simple man with very, very primitive knowledge of a lot of concepts and ideas that he talks about. I think what he does is he comes across something new, talks to a couple of people or reads a few articles, and then figures, okay, I got this. Goes out to his next speech or rally and starts talking about it as if he's an expert, letting you in on the inside scoop he's got on things. And we've seen this with a lot of different things. Now, you go back to COVID, his misunderstanding of what was actually going on. The classic case of him actually suggesting that people use bleach as a disinfectant. And, that did lead to a number of calls to emergency helplines of people who are asking whether they should inject bleach into themselves. Once again, Trump speaking through his ass. While we're talking about bleach, one of my favorites, Hillary Clinton's hard disk drive. When she was Secretary of State, they deleted her personal emails, as they should. And instead of just deleting them, they used a product called BleachBit. BleachBit is a freeware product that instead of just deleting a file, will overwrite the data, thereby making it more difficult to recover. Now, by the way, I know what I'm talking about. I created one of the largest data recovery hard disk drive recovery companies in the world and sold it successfully in 2005. So when it comes to data and removal of data, I know what I'm talking about. Data is recorded on the hard drives electronically and magnetically, and bleach has no impact on it whatsoever. But that doesn't stop Trump from running around saying they disinfected, they used bleach on her drive. It's an expensive process. That's all bullshit. It's not expensive. It's a freeware program. There's no bleach involved. It's a software program that basically deletes files and then fills the space with zeros and ones. It's that simple. These days, it's more common to have him talking about tariffs, which he has no idea what they are or how they operate. The Constitution, I don't think he's even read it, but he's always talking about it. Cryptocurrency, that's his new kick now. He's a genius and a master of cryptocurrency. He doesn't know what he's talking about. False expertise. Okay, let's move to the next item. Number 6, extremely self-centered focus. Well, that's nothing new. Donald Trump is just not capable of completing any speech or interview or press conference without going out of his way to tell us just how tough his life is, the billionaire president. He has followers who have their own lives. They have jobs and businesses and financial difficulties and children and wives and husbands and divorces and health issues. A myriad of problems and complications. But no, Trump is not going to talk about them and their problems. He's going to take a significant portion of his time and tell you about just how tough life is for him. Now, if that's not the height of arrogance, I just don't know what is. It takes another way too, this self-focus. His family. Never in the history of the United States has there been a president who has given his family members such senior positions and allowed them to profit and benefit off their relationship with him as much as he has. It's beyond anything that's ever been acceptable to the American public. Trump just keeps stretching the boundaries, and everything is always about him. Nobody else but him. So that leads us right into our next one, which is this overinflated, exaggerated opinion of himself. Donald Trump will be the first to tell you how successful he is and how great he is. Well, let's take a look at that for a minute. Have you ever noticed Trump's continued insistence that only he can solve America's problems? Only he can solve your problems? No, you can't solve them yourself. You need him. No other politician, no other choice. It's him or nothing. He'll come right out in the rallies and say, I can do it and no one else but me. Now, if that's not an over-exaggerated view of yourself, I don't know what is. Trump has made a lot about his business success, and he, has used that quite a bit. One of his biggest selling points, especially during campaigns, has been his supposed business acumen. He boasts about being a great businessman. But when you look at the facts, the story is pretty different. Trump has had numerous business failures, from casinos to airlines to universities, and filed for bankruptcy multiple times. His real estate deals have often left partners and contractors high and dry. Trump may be okay at making money for himself, but for other people, not so much. This overinflated image of his success is misleading, and it's important to question the very reality behind that claim. The next item on our list of 12, number 4, takes us into the contentious area of Donald Trump and racism. Trump has made it controversial for anyone to accuse him of racism. As soon as you do, his supporters and his allies scream outrage. How dare you? And Trump is a surprisingly clever man. He avoids making any overtly racist comments or doing any overtly racist acts. But he embraces racism. Is Donald Trump a racist? I don't know. But what I do know is that he wants the support and the votes of racists, and he courts them. He reposts racist comments. He reposts memes and statements from people who are known racists and open racists. He invites them into his home and his office and his campaign. So there's no doubt that Trump is out there in a very subtle way promoting racism only because he's after their support. When it comes to Donald Trump and women, I'm so outraged by his words, his actions, and his behavior towards females that I actually made a standalone video, a 12-minute video that I published a few weeks ago entitled Adventures in Misogyny with Donald Trump. Not only is the man blatant, but he's unrepentant, completely unrepentant, and I think it's getting worse. During the last week, Trump has been making a push to go after female votes because there's a gender gap. He's well behind Kamala Harris in support from women voters. So he has launched during his rallies a line of speech that I find totally offensive. He's presenting himself as the protector of women.
All right, so we have to talk business. I always thought women liked me. I never thought I had a problem. But the fake news keeps saying women don't like me. I don't believe it. I think, you know why? They like to have strong borders. They like to have safety. Nothing personal. I think they like me. But I make this statement. Thank you. I love you too. I love you too. Thank you. But I think they like me because I represent something that's very important. I make this statement to the great women of our country. Because I am your protector. I want to be your protector. As president, I have to be your protector. I hope you don't make too much of it. I hope the fake news doesn't go, oh, he wants to be their protector. Well, I am. As president, I have to be your protector. You will no longer be abandoned, lonely, or scared. You will no longer be in danger. You're not going to be in danger any longer. You will no longer have anxiety from all of the problems our country has today. You will be protected, and I will be your protector. Women will be happy, healthy, confident, and free. You will no longer be thinking about abortion. It's all they talk about, abortion. We want beautiful babies in our country. We want you to have your beautiful, beautiful, perfect baby. We want those babies, and we need them. And I will protect women at a level never seen before. They will finally be healthy, hopeful, safe, and secure. Their lives will be happy, beautiful, and great again. And it's my honor to do so. It's my honor to do so.
Well, Mr. Trump if I may suggest, women do not need you to protect them. I think they need you to leave them alone. Okay, we're going to move on now to Donald Trump's confrontational tactics of intimidation, humiliation, insult, and name-calling. He does a lot of that. Trump's go-to strategy for dealing with anyone who doesn't worship him has always been to bury them in insults and public humiliation. We've seen this over and over again in debates, press conferences, and especially on social media and with his social media posts. He doesn't disagree with opponents. He goes directly into personal attacks. With him, it's always about humiliation, insults, intimidation, and name-calling. He calls people losers, nasty, low IQ, anything he can think of to degrade and humiliate the person. Doesn't matter if you're a senator, a reporter, or even a fellow Republican. If you're not on his side, you're going to get labeled and insulted. He's created nicknames for anyone he's ever thought has crossed him. And frankly, I think it's the height of paranoia. This kind of behavior has trickled down into public discourse, making it more toxic and divisive. The goal of leadership should be to inspire people to rise up and accomplish things that are difficult to do, not to point fingers and ridicule others with childlike behavior, which is what Trump does. I've never really understood Trump's appeal to the Christian community and why they support him so strong. I don't know how anyone who calls themselves a Christian can possibly support a man who's dedicated to inspiring and fostering hatred against others. Just isn't the way I understood religion. Well, now we come down to it, the last item on my list of 12, what I consider the greatest character flaw, personality defect of Donald Trump. Number 1, he is a serial liar. The man is habitually dishonest, period. That's all there is to it. There's no defense of it, no nothing. Now, you'd have to be naive not to realize that lying and mistruths and exaggerations are common in politics. We see it all the time at all levels, from city council to the presidency. But Donald Trump has elevated things to a level unheard of in the history of mankind. Never before has a politician, a monarch, a dictator, a used car salesman, a con man, an infomercial host, no one has ever lied, told mistruths, and deceived the public in the way that Donald Trump does so. Now, there's an entire wiki page dedicated to it. And you can have a look at the screen here. Now, if I scroll through this page using the page down feature, just going down at the speed I'm doing it, it takes 4 minutes to get to the end of it. Never mind reading it. And it's all documentation of the lies and fabrications of Donald Trump. You know, it's just absolutely unbelievable. You know, I mentioned in my previous segment about Christian support that Donald Trump has. All I know is, cornerstone to almost every religious belief that I know of is thou shalt not lie. And that's something that Donald Trump does without batting an eyelash. And that's something that I find unforgivable. So, those are my 12 character flaws of Donald Trump. And as you know, it's not comprehensive. There are all kinds of things we haven't even talked about. Now, there are a lot of reasons that different people support and vote for Donald Trump. Obviously, there's the true believers, but there's also some pragmatists. There are people who sincerely believe that his policies are better suited to look after their interests or the economy, and they give him their support. Unfortunately, from my perspective, that's just not good enough. Of all these different flaws, I think of the first two, number 1 and number 2, which is his confrontational attitude combined with his serial lying, his habitual dishonesty. In my opinion, those two disqualify him from getting any form of respect or from any consideration of leadership or a leadership role, no matter what policies he advocates. Character matters. That's all there is to it. Well, I'm going to call it a wrap for the day. I want to thank you very much for watching, especially if you made it all the way till the end there. For those of you who are new to my channel and haven't been here before, I am a 70-year-old Canadian who is absolutely determined to make it on YouTube, even though, quite frankly, it's dominated by millennials and Gen Zs, but I've got a few things in me, and I have a few reasons I want to make it. Number one is the last item on my bucket list. I've done some pretty amazing things in my life, but I really would like to succeed in social media. So I'm doing it because I think I have something to say. I think my opinion matters, and I think your opinion matters. And I can't do it without you guys. So if you'd like to help, here's what you can do. Number one, as you've done, watch the videos until the end. Number two, subscribe to the channel. Like the videos and make comments. I read them all and will respond as I can. Once again, I want to thank you all for your help and your support, and I look forward to the next time we get together. Have a great week.